question. I know what bothers me the most. I feel like America's in decline. I love this country. It's been so good to me. 95 million Americans out of work, 50 million in poverty, 46 in food stamps, and then you got median income down. And then I got Iranian mullahs that are going to have a nuclear weapon. What motivates you to do this every day and 5, 8 stops a day?
Look, I've had two passions almost my entire life. The first is the Constitution. I mean, going back from when I was in high school and studied and memorized the Constitution in short and mnemonic.
You and Mark Levin are the only two that I know that have done that, but go ahead.
Well, you know, and Mark would tell you, Sean, the Constitution matters. You got to protect the Constitution. And it's almost as good as your Mark.
Somebody else will say, I'll say it. All right, we're competing Mark Levins here. But you're right. But now I have a passion for it.
Yes, it is, and it has been a passion my whole life. And then the second passion comes from my family story. You know my dad.
Yeah.
You know, my dad as a teenager was imprisoned and tortured in Cuba. And when he came to America, he came here with nothing. He was 18. He had $100 in his underwear. And he washed dishes making 50 cents an hour. And when you're growing up in Texas, as I was, and you're hearing stories of your father being beaten, have his nose broken, having his teeth shattered out of his mouth. And he talks about, I remember that 1980 election between Reagan and Jimmy Carter. I was 9 years old in that election. And I remember standing by that TV and cheering for Ronald Reagan as a 9-year-old.
I was 18. First time I pulled the lever.
Yeah. And that difference, you know, when your dad has seen freedom taken away, there's an urgency to defending freedom. And when you asked me at 3, 4, 5 years old what I wanted to do, I would have said, I want to fight for freedom. Because my dad would say when I was a little kid, if we don't have principled men and women in office, that's the only way we protect ourselves from tyranny.
Hillary said about one of the candidates, I don't know who, but I think she was referring to all candidates, is they don't think America's great. I think America's great, but America's in decline.
Look,
and the third Obama term is not going to help it.
I believe in America with all of my heart. The principles that built America, the free market principles, the constitutional liberties, the Judeo-Christian values. But for 7 years, we have galloped away from it. We've seen a federal government bankrupting our kids and grandkids. You know, my daughters, Caroline and Catherine. Caroline is 7. In her life, the national debt's gone from $10 trillion to over $18 trillion.
Crazy.
I mean, I think about what kind of world am I giving my daughters? And, you know, when you're on the campaign trail, we're going 16 hours a day, 6 days a week. And yet I jump out of bed every day because I think our country's in crisis. And I feel so blessed to have the opportunity to fight to save it. And I am inspired when you see the grassroots movement across Iowa and across the country, millions of courageous conservatives rising up to save this country. It inspires me.
Donald Trump says he's the most electable. Actually, the polls show you and Rubio do a little better in the matchup. I don't trust these polls. They're still early. Walk me through a general election against either Hillary, Bernie, Biden.
Sure.
You know, Elizabeth Warren, whoever it ends up being, right?
The polls show Trump loses to Hillary, and I beat Hillary. That's part of the reason why you've got so many Democrats echoing Donald's attack on me, is they don't want to face me in the general election. How do we win? Number one, we win by standing for truth, by speaking the truth with a smile. I think 2016 is like 1980. We win by painting in bold colors, not pale pastels.
Has the country changed that much in 30-some-odd years?
You know, it has changed a lot less than people think. A lot of the mainstream media wants us to think it changes, but we win by bringing back to the polls the millions of evangelical Christians who stayed home. 54 million evangelical Christians did not vote in 2012.
What do you worry about an electoral map where if you're a Republican presidential candidate, you're told you got to run the table. You got to win Florida, North Carolina, Virginia, Ohio, then New Mexico, Colorado, and pick off Iowa, New Hampshire?
Well, look, Colorado, I've got a 10-point lead against Hillary Clinton right now. And the other key to changing the map.
You're not even for legalizing marijuana.
I am.
But you're for the states.
Yes, I am for. The Constitution answers a lot of questions. But the other key to winning is changing the electoral map. You got to bring out evangelicals, but you got to bring out Reagan Democrats, working class, blue collar Catholics across the Midwest up into New England.
Can you win Pennsylvania?
Absolutely, we can win Pennsylvania, we can win Ohio, we can win Wisconsin, we can win Michigan, we can win New Hampshire. But you can't do it if you support amnesty. You can't do it if you're not, because if you look at those Reagan Democrats, they're steel workers, they're auto workers, they're truck drivers and mechanics. They're getting hammered by the Obama-Clinton economy and the establishment Republicans that want amnesty. Whose jobs do you think they're taking?
Low-skilled labor, let's say in that case. You have more people competing, driving down wages and opportunities.
Yes.
It's really crazy. You'd build the wall. How fast would you get it up?
We will build the wall. We will triple the Border Patrol. We will increase fourfold the fixed wing and rotary wing aircraft. On day one, I will revoke every one of Obama's illegal executive orders, including his amnesty, and we will solve illegal immigration. There's a reason Steve King is supporting me, because he knows that I stood and fought when the battle was being waged.
Will Hillary be the candidate for the Democrats?
I would not claim to be an expert on Democratic primary voters. I will tell you this, I can't wait to stand on a debate stage with Hillary Clinton. And if Donald is so afraid of Megyn Kelly, how on earth is he going to stand up to Hillary, particularly given that he's contributed to Hillary? He gave $100,000 to the Clinton Foundation.
I would be willing to moderate a debate and take questions from the crowd. I'll bring Mark. I would go there with Mark. I'll go there with Rush. Anyone that wants to do it. So
I think it'd be fabulous.
So $1.5 million. This PAC is saying that
so
they'll
I
get.
understand that.
Yeah.
And the most important thing for the people in Iowa to know is Monday night. It's all about turnout. Come out and caucus. Bring your friends. If conservatives stand together, we're going to win.
All right, Senator. Thanks for your time. Good to see you.
Sean.
Thank you. And coming up, we caught up with former Governor Jeb Bush at his headquarters earlier today. And